Good morning and welcome to the Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum number 4. Today's forum will be covering the 44th District House of Representatives Position 1 race with incumbent John Lovick and candidate John Kartak. Serving as today's moderator is Peter Rudolf, a business attorney at Galloway Law Group. He is also on our Government Affairs Committee and currently serves as an ongoing respected member of the Board of Directors as our legal counsel.
Thank you, Jessica, and good morning. In each race, we will begin with a 2-minute opening statement by each candidate. To maintain the Chamber's reputation of impartiality, the candidate to speak first for each race was chosen by coin flip prior to the start of today's forum. Following opening statements, our candidates will be asked a series of questions developed by our Government Affairs Committee. Alternating first response positions, each candidate will be given a 2-minute response period for the question posed. In the second segment, our candidates will pose their own question to their opponent. In this segment, each candidate will have 1 minute to pose their question and their opponent will have 1 minute to respond and vice versa. In helping our candidates keep track of their time today, we will signal when candidates have reached the 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining mark and when their time is up. Viewers will probably not see these notifications, they're on Zoom messaging. Now, I'm pleased to introduce to you candidates for the 44th Legislative District seat of House of Representatives position number 1. Representative John Lovick, running as a Democrat, and Mayor John Kartak, running as a Republican. Now we move on to opening statements. You'll each have 2 minutes for your response. And selected randomly to go first, Representative Lovick. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. As you know, we're dealing with a global pandemic, social unrest, economic uncertainty, and the worst wildfire season ever. While it is at times discouraging, I continue to be hopeful. I'm State Representative John Lovick. By way of a brief background, I served 13 years in the Coast Guard, 31 years with the Washington State Patrol, 5 years on the Mill Creek City Council, 5.5 years as county sheriff, 2.5 years as county executive. I've been in the legislature for 14 years. This is my 50th year of public service. As you know, I'm sure you know, the next session will be the most challenging session ever. It will be difficult. We are going to balance the budget. We have a constitutional requirement that we balance our budget. I was quite pleased that the last revenue forecast was very, very positive. We will not have to make the deep cuts that we had anticipated. One of our top priorities is going to be police, community relations, and accountability. I served almost 4 decades in law enforcement. In addition to my regular committees, I'm currently on a policing policy leadership team. Members of the House of Representatives and State Senate are looking at a series of police reforms, things like banning neck restraints and chokeholds, banning no-knock warrants, and a lot of other things that we're trying to do. Our goal is to have law enforcement and the community work better together. Our focus is going to be on community relations and accountability. The question we hope to answer is, what will policing look like when there's no bias? What is it going to look like? And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the bills that I have drafted that will create a statewide pandemic preparation and response task force. The task force will look at how we responded to this pandemic, what went right, what went wrong, and simply what we must do better. This session, the 2020 election, is about leadership and it is about results. We need leaders who will help guide us through this global pandemic, embrace unity, diversity, and strength, and will help heal our racial divide. I'm proud to say that I am that leader. I would love to have your support, love to have your vote, and I hope you'll stay safe, stay healthy, and that you will wear a mask. Thank you. State Representative John Lovick.
Thank you. Mr. Kartak.
Hi, I'm John Kartak. I grew up across the valley from Snohomish, right between between Mill Creek and Snohomish. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. As a father and a husband, I've got 5 kids and 6 or 7 grandchildren, depending on how many you want to count. There's a couple of them on the way. I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner and an employer throughout all of my adult life. I'm intimately familiar with all the responsibilities behind meeting payroll demands and meeting customer demands. As the mayor of Snohomish, I'm also intimately familiar with what it takes to provide critical government services such as water, sewer utilities, police services, streets and transportation, parks and recreation, and construction permit services. My priorities center around representing our small town, East County values, not the big city agendas coming out of Seattle and King County.
Now, what matters most to the 44th Legislative District, and how will these interests affect your priorities going into this next legislative budget session? Mayor Kartak, you go first.
Okay, wonderful. So as a business owner and an employer from the age of 19 until today, my priorities include families, jobs, and businesses. Beyond that, this state needs to recognize our East County traffic problems and Mill Creek's dire need for better access from I-5 to Highway 9. While my opponent has voted for every single tax increase that came his way, my priority is to lower taxes and to spend within our means, just like everyone else has to. And my priority is to loudly and boldly stand with our police, rather than the violent protesters who are blocking ambulances on freeways and seizing entire neighborhoods and even a police precinct in Seattle. Loudly and boldly stand with our police. While far too many politicians quietly tolerate what they're having to go through, being called racist, being defunded, being vilified, being stalked in their own residential neighborhoods.
The question to you, Mr. Lovick.
Peter, it's a very good question. What matters most to me is what has mattered most to me every single election I've been involved in. Good, safe schools, good, safe roads, and great jobs with benefits. That's the number one thing that I believe matters in our community. And that's what I have worked for, and I will continue to work for those things. I'm very, very pleased that with our school system, I'm pleased with the work that we're doing with roads and trying to build new projects and having good, safe schools for our kids to go to. That's what matters most to the people in the 44th District.
Thank you for those answers. What is your opinion on the matter of reopening from the COVID-19 lockdown? And what will you support in order to lessen the impact on businesses and families who are facing unprecedented educational challenges due to this crisis?
Well, you know, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that our president has been diagnosed with a positive COVID. I think what we need to do is make sure that when we open schools and when we reopen schools, that they're opened safely. We shouldn't have what is going on in some of the southern states like Mississippi, Florida, where we open schools, close them, open them, and close them back to make sure that we follow the science. I believe in science. I believe in what our professionals are telling us. That's the number one thing we need to do, is to make sure that when we open our schools, that they're open safely. And when we open schools safely, that means that our businesses are going to open safely. This is not a right or wrong thing. It's just about what makes sense. And what makes sense to me is to make sure that we safely reopen our schools so that our children won't go to school and get contaminated, get an infection, and then come back and infect people in the community. That's the number one thing. That's what matters, I believe.
Mayor Kartak, your answer to the question.
Okay, so you know, this is a very real crisis, and it's a very real emergency, and people are suffering from this. And I think this is a time when we really need to recognize that we have more than one branch of elected government at the state house or at the state level. And so with just a governor making the decisions that have been made, and a representative government with a Democrat majority refusing to hold an emergency session, I think that doesn't show leadership. I think that when one whole entire branch of elected government will not step up to the plate, we're going to see a lot of instability. We're going to see a lot of things that we have seen, such as decisions that have been made and thrust upon our business owners with no warning whatsoever, and then removed with no warning whatsoever, no preparation, as if business owners can just make sudden decisions. These types of decisions that are thrust on our business owners are costing tens of thousands of dollars for many of our small business owners. If the governor is going to suspend civil liberties for the sake of this very real and dangerous health crisis, then the state legislature should have called an emergency session to either back him up or challenge him on some of those decisions.
Thank you for those answers. What are your district's priorities for economic development, and how will those priorities guide your representation in this upcoming session?
Okay, so priorities. The biggest thing our business owners are concerned about right now, or one of the biggest things, is taxes. Priorities. Tax number 2, taxes number 3. We're being threatened with more and more taxes of every variety being thrown our way. We've seen taxes go through the roof. Another thing too is as far as my priorities, I want to make meeting with city councils across this district a primary necessity, not a hopeful afterthought. I think that our representatives need to actually go out of their way to call our city councils up. Our cities are the ones who are most familiar with the needs of our businesses. And if we're not going to make it a priority to meet with all of the cities in our district before legislative session, then we're not supporting our businesses. And another thing too is it's really important to meet with our business owners. This is something that I have done regularly since I've been mayor of Snohomish. My business owners in Snohomish know that I regularly go in and meet with them and see how things are going and see what their needs are, see how the city can serve them better.
Representative Lovick.
Yeah, thanks again for the question, Peter. I'm going to start by saying we can't tax our way out of this. It's going to be a combination, when we go back to Olympia, and I will be going back, it's going to be a combination of taxes. And when I say taxes, I'm thinking about things like probably some minor taxes, and it's going to be a combination of minor taxes and cuts. But we're not going to be able to tax our way out of this. I'm talking about a capital gains tax. What we need to do is exactly what I think our national leaders are talking about, having a COVID relief package. That is helping us. It's helping us to at least move in that direction. It was passed in the House yesterday by a party line vote. We're hoping it'll pass in the Senate and they will get some dollars back to us. But I think in addition to that, we all need to do the things that we need to do to help reopen our economy. And I have a mask with me. Wear a mask when we're out in public. Do those things that are going to make a difference so that when we reopen our economy, it will reopen safely, and we're not opening and closing and opening and closing the economy. Those are the things that are going to make a difference. And I agree with Mayor Kartak. We should be reaching out to our local governments. I spend as much time as I can. I've been on several phone calls with city council members, and I agree with him on that point.
Now is your opportunity to ask each other questions. Each of you now will be given 1 minute to ask a question of your opponent, and please limit your responses also to 1 minute.
Mayor Kartak, the only question I have of you is that when I go back to Olympia and we all work very, very well together, what are some of the priorities that you would like me to bring to the legislature that will benefit your communities? What are some of the things that you want on the front burner? You guys advocate for a lot of things down there, and I'm in the position to work on capital projects, operating budget projects, and transportation projects. What are the top things that you want me to work on when I'm in Olympia as I represent your city?
Yeah, thank you so much, Representative Lovick. And I want to point out that you've always been someone who's been somebody who I can meet with in Olympia and appreciate all the hard work that you do for everybody and for all of our cities. And one of the things that I'll be coming to you with, if you win this race, is our transportation needs here in Snohomish. And also our regional transportation needs. I know you sit on the transportation board, and I'm going to be pressing you pretty hard on Highway 9, continuing the work that needs to take place here, and also on Highway 2, one of the most deadly highways in the state. And this is something that is just of deep concern. Highway 9 is so bad that people are using my city as a highway, and they're racing through town, and it's been causing problems for years and years. And of course, there's always the streets overlay projects that need to be done by every city, and we're going to be coming to you with those sorts of things as well. There's some economic development issues that we'd like to bring forward to you. And anyway, if I win this race, it'll be great working with you, and if you win this race, it'll be great working with you all the same.
I'm recording those, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
All right, thank you.
And Mayor, now your question for Representative.
Okay, wonderful. So, you know, where I come from in a perspective as a business owner all my life is I believe in releasing the power of economic development, the power of free business, the businesses to really solve the lion's share of our problems, especially when it comes to financial problems. And I just don't think that raising taxes is the solution. And I don't think that it should be the main focus. I think that we pay a lot in taxes. Our business owners are suffering tremendously with this. And so I'd like to ask you, Representative Lovick, when's the last time you voted no for a tax? Because I believe you've never voted no for a tax that's coming your way. And if you have voted no for a tax, could you please tell me one that might come to your mind?
You know, John, Mayor, I can't remember. We have a series of things that we have done in the past because, you know, when you come to us for transportation projects, when you come to us for things, there's just not a pot of money waiting right there to say, Mayor Kartak needs money for a certain building in your city. We just don't have money waiting out there. I study every issue that comes in front of me. And what I always do, I vote my conscience, I vote my district, and I vote for the rest of the citizens of the state. So I can't tell you that I can remember, we didn't have a lot of tax increases that I can think of. We're probably going to be looking at a capital gains tax because we're going to have to balance the budget because we just can't do some of the things that you want and other people want with the revenue. This COVID has really just turned all of our lives upside down. So to answer your question, I can't, but you know what? I'm gonna go through and see if we've had some minor tweaks in the in our budget, and maybe I could get that information to you. That's a great question. Great question.
Now each of you will be given an opportunity to make a 2-minute closing statement. Representative Lovick, your closing statement.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing us together today. I'm John Lovick. I've spent more than 50 years in public service, and I would love for the listeners to consider endorsing me. When they endorse me, they will be joining the Seattle Times, hopefully the Everett Herald. They will be joining 5 of the 7 council members from the city of Snohomish. They will be joining most of the large law enforcement agencies like the Washington Council of Police and Sheriffs, the Council of Metropolitan Police, in endorsing a person who believes that you represent the city, you represent the community that you represent, and I would love to have your endorsement. I'm ready to go to work. I'm looking forward to going to work, and I'm looking forward to continuing the great work that we've done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor, your closing statement.
Okay, thank you. And I want to thank you for holding this forum as well. And my heart goes out to all of our business owners, and chambers across our region really are doing a lot of positive work in supporting our businesses, and really appreciate that. I'm not a career politician. I'm a dad and a grandpa and a business owner and a mayor. I've been mayor for the last 3 years. And I just feel like in a city like Snohomish is so much like our district. We have Democrats and Republicans throughout this community. And I think it's important that we support everybody and that we provide everybody with the ability to express their concerns and to address their needs. Party divisiveness has left our community without a balanced voice. I believe the best solutions require strong relationships across the whole district in discussion with those who hold differing opinions. As mayor of Snohomish, I work hard to find collaborative answers to problems affecting our politically diverse community. I will bring a bipartisan approach that everyone has heard. Thank you.
Our goal today was to present a fair and impartial format that will aid citizens in their decision-making process. Your vote is extremely important. Weigh your choices carefully, and please remember to vote on or before November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And a couple thank yous just to wrap us up here to our candidates. Best of luck to both of you. To our Government Affairs Committee, thank you for the work you do on behalf of the Marysville and Tulalip businesses. To 564 IT for your video editing services, and to today's moderator, Peter Rudolf.
Thank you.
Some upcoming events. This does conclude our 2020 Candidates Forums. Thank you for joining us and learning more about all the candidates. Our October BBH is scheduled for next Friday, the 30th at 9 a.m. The theme is business to business networking, fall into harvest. So check your chamber newsletter for the link and feel free to join us. Thank you for coming and have a great day.